Who is your top 10 bet for the national costume competition from the 72nd annual Miss Universe pageant? The costume contest is always a highlight of the pageant as it gives participants the chance to honor their countries with eye-catching ensembles. And now let's see who stands out from the 84 hopeful candidates. Miss Albania. The national costume was designed to look like an eagle, which appears on Albania's flag. Miss Angola. She brought a splash of color to the Miss Universe stage with her costume, which was inspired by the women of the Mumuhila tribe. Miss Argentina shimmered as bright as the sun as she took the Miss Universe stage in sparkling gold costume. Miss Aruba wore a colorful outfit inspired by an indigenous queen during the national costume contest. Miss Australia, Moriah Wilson on her national costume. Miss Bahamas sported a national costume that paid homage to vintage Bahamian market dolls. Miss Bahrain. Miss Belgium. Miss Bolivia brought the drama to Miss Universe with her national costume inspired by the Bolivian Amazonian warrior. Miss British Virgin Islands. Miss Brazil. Her national costume was also inspired by birds, a common theme during this year's contest. Miss Bulgaria dripped in gold from head to toe with her national costume. Miss Cambodia. Miss Cameroon paid tribute to women's empowerment movement with her national costume. Miss Canada made a statement with her national costume that paid tribute to countries all over the world. Miss Cayman Islands. Miss Chile spread giant wings as she walked across the stage. Miss Colombia. Miss Costa Rica was decked out in pearls, sequins, and tulle. Miss Croatia. Miss Curacao wore what was arguably the most daring look seen during the costume contest. Miss Czech Republic. Miss Denmark brought a mythical sea dragon to life with her national costume. Miss Dominican Republic. Miss Ecuador took inspiration from a train for the national costume contest. Miss Egypt. Miss El Salvador costume lit up, turning her into a volcano on stage. Miss Equatorial Guinea. Miss Finland. Miss France wore an official costume from Le Moulin Vogue, the famous French cabaret. Miss Guatemala sported a bejeweled look inspired by her country's national flower. Miss Guyana brought the rainforest to the Miss Universe stage. Miss Germany. Miss Great Britain. Miss Greece. Miss Honduras donned a traditional costume for the national contest competition. Miss Hungary. Miss Iceland. Miss India. Miss Indonesia wore a statement costume that showcased Indonesian art and represented her life journey. Miss Ireland embodied the Celtic goddess Cleodna on stage. Miss Italy. Miss Jamaica also found inspiration in the sea for her national costume. Miss Japan. Miss Kazakhstan looked like a warrior when she stepped on stage. Miss Kosovo. Miss Korea. Miss Laos was inspired by textiles and her mother. Miss Latvia stepped on stage looking like the national flower of her home country. Miss Lebanon. Miss Mexico's outfit was full of bright colors. Miss Malta floated across the stage like a butterfly with her national costume. Miss Malaysia. Miss Mauritius. Miss Myanmar was dressed like a Burmese virtue tree. Miss Mongolia. Miss Namibia wore a costume that transformed her into a symbol of her country. Miss Nepal inspired her national costume by a Himalayan salt. Miss Netherlands sported a costume that transformed in real time. Miss Nigeria paid tribute to three Nigerian queens with her national costume. Miss Nicaragua's costume was designed to look like a bird that is native to her country. Miss Norway. Miss Pakistan. Miss Panama's costume was inspired by the song The Drum of Joy. Miss Paraguay's ensemble also honored music from her country. Miss Peru looked ancient pre-Columbian civilizations for her national costume contest outfit. Miss Philippines turned herself into a plane for the national costume contest, paying tribute to the Philippine Air Force. Miss Poland. Miss Portugal. Miss Puerto Rico's costume celebrated a specific area of her country. Miss Russia. Miss St. Lucia wore an all-gold ensemble to honor her nation's Nobel laureates. Miss Singapore. Like many contestants, Miss Slovakia looked to her country's landscape for her costume. Miss South Africa. Miss Spain. Miss Switzerland put her own spin on the Swiss Guards uniform for the costume contest. Miss Thailand's costume turned her into a goddess. Miss Trinidad and Tobago paid tribute to both a bird and carnival with her costume. Miss Ukraine's costume was inspired by the Mother Protector, an embodiment of the mothers trying to protect their children in Ukraine. Miss USA looked to America's most iconic landmarks for her costume. Miss Venezuela's red outfit nodded to a festival. Miss Vietnam costumes celebrated worship of the mother. And last but not the least is Miss Zimbabwe.